If you travel across Georgia today, you'll see a state full of movement and change. Trains still rumble through cities, cotton still grows in wide, white fields that stretch for miles. And the city of Atlanta, one of the busiest hubs in the entire country, buzzes with the sound of traffic, commerce, and connection. But believe it or not, all of this traces back to two technological breakthroughs from over 200 years ago: the cotton gin and the railroad. One was a simple machine that could clean cotton 50 times faster than a person. The other was a new kind of transportation that could carry people and goods like cotton farther and faster than anyone had ever imagined. These two technologies helped Georgia rise from scattered farms to a connected, booming economy. They brought wealth, growth, and opportunity. But they also brought consequences that would shape the state's future, especially its dependence on slavery and a singular crop. So how could two inventions designed to make life easier end up changing Georgia and the entire South so dramatically, for better and for worse? In the late 1700s, Georgia's farmers were struggling. One of the state's main crops, tobacco, was depleting the soil of its nutrients and profits were shrinking quickly. So Georgia needed a new cash crop, something that would revive its economy. Cotton had potential, but a significant challenge stood in the way. Removing seeds from the fluffy white fibers was extremely time-consuming. This process is known as cleaning the cotton. As a result, a person could only clean about 1 pound of cotton per day. But that changed in 1793 when a young northerner named Eli Whitney, who was staying on a Georgia plantation at the time, developed a machine called the cotton gin, short for engine. Whitney's device could clean up to 50 pounds of cotton a day. With the cotton gin, suddenly cotton was incredibly profitable, and Georgia's cotton production took off. Farmers planted more, landowners bought new fields, and planters pushed westward in search of fertile land. By the mid-1800s, cotton was king. The South was producing most of the world's cotton, and Georgia became a major part of that global industry. While the cotton gin was fast at removing the seeds, picking cotton still required massive amounts of labor. And that labor came from enslaved people. Instead of reducing the dependence on slavery, the cotton gin increased it. The more cotton farmers grew, the more enslaved workers they forced into the fields. From 1790 to 1800, the number of enslaved people in Georgia grew dramatically, more than doubling. And just before the Civil War, nearly 500,000 people, or 44% of all Georgians, were enslaved. With the invention of the cotton gin, Georgia's economy became centered on cotton and on the system of slavery that supported it. This dependence shaped the state's politics, society, and future conflicts. And it also made Georgia slow to diversify, meaning it focused almost entirely on cotton before and even after the Civil War. The cotton gin sparked economic growth, but it also strengthened the institution of slavery and created long-term challenges that would impact Georgia for generations. While cotton was transforming Georgia's farms, another technology was reshaping the entire state: the railroad. In the early 1800s, travel in Georgia was slow and unreliable. Roads were rough, especially in bad weather, and wagons couldn't carry goods very far or very quickly. So in 1832, businessmen in Athens, Georgia had an idea: build a railroad to move cotton to Augusta more efficiently. And this idea worked. Soon, railroads spread across the state, like metal branches on a tree. By the 1840s and 1850s, Georgia had one of the largest railroad networks in the nation and more track miles than any other southern state. The railroads were essential in transporting cotton to markets within and outside of Georgia. But the railroads didn't just move cotton, they moved people, goods, and opportunities. Small towns grew into major cities because a railroad passed through them. Businesses formed around train depots, and Georgia-made goods could be shipped faster and farther than ever before. One of the biggest changes from the railroads came in the form of a brand new city. Originally called Terminus, this railroad stop was built where a major line terminated or ended. Over time, Terminus grew into a transportation hub, and eventually it got a new name: Atlanta. Unlike most major cities, Atlanta wasn't built on a navigable river or coastline. It existed because of the railroad, and it soon became the center of the South's transportation, economy, and industry. Even today, Atlanta's role as a transportation giant traces back to its railroad beginnings. The cotton gin and the railroad reshaped Georgia in massive ways. The cotton gin brought big profits, but also expanded slavery, while the railroad linked Georgia's communities and boosted its growth. Together, they show how inventions can shape a state in powerful and very different ways.